Now that we know how to create directories in regular files, let's learn how to copy them. To do this, we use the cp command, which of course is a shorthand for copy. In its simplest form, cp copies a single file from a source path to a destination path. So let's first create a new file using the touch command we've seen in the previous lesson called file1 that we will edit using a text editor software. I personally chose to use VS Code, but you could very much use the one of your choosing, such as Sublime Text or Atom, for example. If you don't have one installed yet, I suggest you now take a minute to download one of the three I just mentioned. Let's now open this file we just created, add a few lines in it, and finally use the cp command to create a copy of it called file2. Now that we have two files, we could of course open the second one in our text editor to verify that its content is similar to the first one, but instead I'd like to show you two different ways to achieve the same result using the shell. The first way is to use a command called cmp, which stands for compare. What cmp does is that it takes two files as arguments and compares them byte by byte, or character by character if you wish, and outputs the list of the different bytes. As you can see here, nothing was outputted into our terminal, which implies that both files are absolutely identical. And the second way, which is a bit more visual, is to use the cat command, which stands for concatenate and print, that is used to read files and display their content back into the terminal. So if we then run this command with both of our files, we can observe that they're indeed identical. Now, in its more advanced form, cp enables you to copy multiple sources into a target directory. To demonstrate this, let's first create a new directory called tmp, which stands for temporary, and copy both file1 and file2 in it at once. We can now use ls to verify that our files were successfully copied, and cat to check for their content, but instead of specifying each of these files, let's rather use a wildcard. Just as a reminder, the star character is a pathname expansion that allows us to specify that we want to select all of the files at once. Now there's a little behavior you should keep in mind when using the cp command. By default, cp will not check if a file with the same name already exists in the target directory and will automatically override it. But there's of course two ways to prevent this from happening. The first one is by using the I flag, which stands for interactive, that will prompt for confirmation before overriding a file. When this prompt appears, you can then either type Y and enter to overwrite, or N and enter to skip this file. The second one is by using the N flag, which will silently skip the copy of the files that might overlap. If you ever wanted to have a visual indication about the files that were ignored though, you can always combine it with the V flag, which stands for verbose. Finally, let's say you need to copy a whole directory containing files and subdirectories. To copy everything at once, you can then use the recursive option R. Just so you know, if the destination directory does not exist, cp will create it for you automatically.